Big Herc916. Positivity, motivation. And yeah, I went down today. I got to do an interview with Jesse Waters, Fox News.
We're seeing scenes like this all over the country. Criminals on Sunday smashed into a jewelry store here in New York with a sledgehammer. Stole 20 G's worth of gold, chains, and pendants. Jewelry salesman recently attacked in Belle Isle, Florida by criminals who stole almost, you ready, $200,000 worth of jewelry from him. But one guy who can relate to these robberies, probably better than anybody, is Marcus Big Herc916. Big Herc committed an armed robbery in 2000 and spent nearly 9 years in prison for his crimes, and he's used his time in jail to transform himself and is now a mentor and motivational speaker. Big Herc916 is the host of Fresh Out channel on YouTube. All right, Big Herc, what's going on right now, and what's the motivation, do you think, behind all these waves of smash and grabs?
In my opinion, it's lack of consequence. When you have the promotion of there's not going to be a prosecution, and you think that you will get basically a slap on the risk outweighs anything else. I mean, these people think that literally if they commit a crime today, they'll be out tomorrow. And that in itself is basically sending a lot of these guys on the streets thinking they can get away with something, and the fact that they can walk around legally and cover their face up, that nobody's going to be able to identify them for their crimes. All
right, so it's the bail reform, lack of prosecution, and the COVID situation, because you're allowed to have you look like a bandit, you just look like you're following the science. So
Correct.
When you do get caught, though, you do get locked up, you got to post some bail or something like that. Is that going through their mind at all?
Well, for a lot of these kids or young people, they're not really looking at the long term. And from personal experience, I've never been bailed out of anything. So every time I've been locked up, I had to do the time.
Right.
And if you don't have that opportunity to sit there and kind of reflect on your actions, and you're immediately released back onto the street, you're thinking, oh man, it's a free-for-all. I can do this however many times and until it catches up to me, which most of these guys aren't thinking about it catching up to them.
Do you think if they had had bail reform back in your day, that you probably might still be back out on the street?
I think if they had that situation, it might have took a little bit longer for me to figure it out. I mean, the contributing factor for my change was having a male mentor.
Yeah.
And that mentor in federal prison changed my life as far as giving me advice as a young man. And a lot of these young men who are committing these crimes, they don't have a father figure or a male mentor in their life kind of giving them any positive advice.
Are the father figures more of the older gang leaders who send the young guys out there because they know, if you're underage, under 18, you're probably not going to do as hard of a time?
I don't think it has anything to do with the OG sending them out, because most of these kids are doing it on their own. They're watching social media, they're watching the gangster rap videos, and they're thinking that it's glamorous. It's been really glorified to be a gangster and to commit these crimes. So the OGs who are telling them anything contrary, they're looking at them as being washed up. They're a square now. You're corny. I mean, I've been told that I'm a cornball or sellout now because I'm not really advocating that, and yet I try to give these guys advice because I've lived that life.
All right. Well, thank you for doing what you're doing. We need a lot of Big Hercs all across the United States to start mentoring everybody, because man, this is getting out of control. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your time with us, Big Herc916.
Thank you.
And I've told you guys before, this is all a setup, man. They're pumping up these young people to think that because of the bail you can get out and there's no immediate incarceration, that it's a free-for-all. And the more you think you can get away with, eventually when they do crack your head, it's going to be a draconian sentence. And they come with this next crime control bill, this next bill that's going to come down and wreak punishment on violent crime. A lot of you guys are going to be crying. You're going to be crying for your mama, man, because your daddy didn't tell you that crime doesn't pay. And I've been trying to tell you crime doesn't pay. I've learned the hard way, so I try to share with you guys so maybe you can take a better route. But a lot of you guys, you don't want to hear it. You want to call me names and say negative stuff about something that can possibly save your life, but you're not weighing out your options. You think that stealing a watch, stealing some jewelry, then going back and playing PlayStation or Grand Theft or Call of Duty, that's a life, and that life is going to sustain you. But when you hit your 30s, if you do hit your 30s, and you start realizing that you wasted all this time for nothing, and then you end up in prison and you're working for pennies on a dollar, you're going to be like, man, I used to watch Big Herc on Fresh Out and on Big Herc916, and he used to talk about this. And you're going to see a bunch of men planning and plotting, maybe somebody getting violated, maybe somebody getting rushed by the goon squad, maybe strip searched, maybe having to carry a shank. And you're going to have all these thoughts in your mind of things that you maybe heard that you didn't listen to, that you should have taken in consideration. I thought about it over and over again, like Groundhog Day when I was in prison. And I used to walk the yard and try to figure out, where did I go wrong? Why couldn't I have just stayed in bed that day? Well, in prison, you can't stay in bed. You got to get your ass up. You got to listen to what the guards tell you. Then you got to listen to what some of your homies tell you. Then you got to make choices that might not allow you to ever go home again if you make the wrong choice. Crazy situation, man. Crazy times, man. You know? And everybody gets all emotional, mad when you try to tell them something. This is like a, what do you call it? A don't offend me generation. Don't say anything that I don't agree with. I don't want to hear it. You're bullying me. You're upsetting me. Look, man. There's a lot of things I heard growing up, and I had to learn to deal with them. And even though I still made mistakes, by having went through situations, it made me stronger in the end. And if you don't strengthen yourself up mentally, when it comes time to make the right choice, you're not going to be able to make that choice because you're too weak. And being coddled and babied and not being told that, you know, you don't deserve a trophy, or you're not the winner, or you're not right, that's not helping the situation. Sometimes you got to take your L, man. You got to take your loss. You didn't do good on your test. You didn't place well in your competition. You did a bad job. That's just life. You learn from that. You do better the next time. You know, that teaches you. Competitive teaches you how to deal with adversity in life. That's why you take, you know, martial arts. That's why you play in sports. You got to learn that life is competitive and nobody's going to give you anything in life. Once you understand that, you could better yourself and teach those same principles and concepts to your children so that they won't feel that they're entitled, because you're not entitled to shit and you're not a victim, man. Nobody owes you anything. It's up to you to get out here and make it happen and to try to utilize something that you've heard in the past to justify your actions today, it doesn't cut it, man. All the crime you're committing, all the negative things you're doing that you think that are justified because of whatever you've been told is bullshit. You have the greatest opportunities right now with your cell phone, with your laptops, with your iPads. You guys can change the world, but you would rather run around and steal and rob and commit chaos until they throw the book at you and convict you as an adult, or send you to some place that the people in there are just predators. I just try to help you guys out, man. That's all. Try to give you some game, but ultimately the choice is yours. Big Herc916. Don't forget to stop by the Big Herc916 store and pick you up a sticker for your car, or a patch, or a sticker for your laptop, or maybe a beanie, or read one of the many books that Big Herc916 has authored. You know how we do it. Hello, I'm Big Herc916. Contact me for life coaching and motivational speaking. Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.